Howdy folks, John Ball, TRC Commissioner on Risen Star weekend, as well as tonight the Hyacinth Stakes from Japan. I'm going to tell you a couple stories before we talk about some horses. I'm a Westpac sailor, and majority of my time has been spent on California and out of Adak, Alaska and other places, but a number of times, in fact 4 years, I lived in Japan. So I had an opportunity to go to the racetrack in Tokyo back in 1979. My wife and I went down and enjoyed a day at the races. It was an off track that day. I remember, and we had a guy that the JRA, the Japan Racing Association, said that they would help us out to understand how to navigate through the track. I understood racing and I know betting and all those kind of things, but I didn't understand the procedures and whatever. And it was nice to give him along it to give us a little tour of the racetrack and understand what was going on from a Japanese perspective. And I won a lot of money that day because we got to about the fifth race and I had already cashed almost every race, and one of them was a steeplechase and I didn't even know they were going to be jumping over fences, but nonetheless I was on a lucky streak that day. But I asked this guy, I can't even remember his name now, but he was a delightful gentleman, if he would read to me the breeding on the horses that were running in this fifth race. And he read through names and whatever, and I didn't understand majority of them. Then he said, Dus Commander. And I said, did you say Dus Commander? And he said, no, Dus Commander. Well, I know Dus Commander pretty good. He had won the Derby, and I know it was an off track. So I said, this is a horse I'm going to bet. And he tried to talk me out of it. So no, you're not, you didn't try to tell me. He spoke broken English, but basically he was telling me, you don't want that horse. That's too long of a shot. Well, sure enough, came in, paid 40 some dollars. I won a lot of yen and cashed that in, and it was several $100s for the day. And I'm not a big bettor, but we took him out for a steak dinner. He really appreciated it, and we had a great memory. So Japanese racing, I know a little bit about, but this Hyacinth Stakes, I don't have any edge there. You see that trophy behind me? It's actually a trophy I won in Misawa, Japan for a golf tournament. And you think that's pretty impressive to get a trophy, but it was for last place. But it says that in kanji, so I brag about my golf trophy that I got in Japan, but it doesn't represent anything good on the golf course. Risen Star first. I like all the top 5 horses that you guys are looking at. The same thing as Smile Happy and Epicenter, Zandon, Slow Down Andy, and Papa Cap. Obviously, Smile Happy, McPeak horse, is going to be probably the favorite, and deservedly so. He'll probably win. But, you know, I just remember Run Happy in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. He's a sprinter. And I'm just wondering whether this horse, he got some breeding on the dam side that'll maybe go longer. But I don't think it's worth the odds. So I'm going to go a little longer, and being stubborn, I'm going to stay with my Papa Cap. I don't think he liked being down inside in that last race, or switching riders to Tyler Gaffleone, who's very aggressive. Nothing against Joe Bravo, but Tyler, I think, may tip him to the outside and give him a run there. And where he did not close on Epicenter, he ranged up alongside and just kind of paced him. I think Papa Cap can have some killer instinct this time and actually end up on top. So I'm going with Papa Cap in the Risen Star, and hopefully when Tyler gets him rolling, he'll just roll past him instead of hanging next to the other horses. I want somebody that's aggressive to win, not just to be a herd mentality and hang around other horses. Moving to Japan, you might as well use a dartboard here. I mean, I'm still looking for past performance data to send to you guys, and if I find it this afternoon, I'll be able to send it to you. But a lot of the overseas racing, we don't have the same speed ratings and time form does do worldwide, but it's just a little trickier to know what's going on a track. And you'll see in this race, they're going to break on the turf and then go to the dirt. Now that happens at Santa Anita and some other places, but it's a little bit strange. I don't like any of the outside horses. I do focus down on the jockeys, and I did look at this Hyacinth Stakes because it's a stepping stone to the Derby. And because the Japanese horses did well in this last Breeders' Cup, you'll see more horses entered in these stepping stone races, just as Churchill Downs hoped it would be. And in this one, you got a couple horses did not go to Dubai, but they're going to stay at home and hopefully earn some points to go. And I'm looking at the couple jockeys. Let me tell you a story about Yataka Taki. He's riding the horse on the outside named Jasper Jet. It's a long shot. Taki's a great jockey. Taki the jockey is a good guy. I used to work at Churchill Downs part-time during the Breeders' Cup as well as the Derby week. And it was my job to be the media consultant. I know all the jockeys having done the jockey cards. So if somebody wanted to come see Gary Stevens or some other jockey in the room, they'd run them through me and I'd ask them what they want, who they were, kind of as a screening thing to keep the clerk of scales concentrated on his job. And so I sat right next to the clerk of scales, and in 99 or 2000 Derby, I can't remember which, but before the first race, here comes Yataka Taki coming to the clerk of scales, and those two are trying to talk to each other. And Taki was getting a little frustrated because nobody could understand. The clerk of scales was getting a little testy there because they didn't understand each other. And Taki's interpreter was somewhere else parking the car or whatever he was doing. So there's Taki trying to check into the jocks room. And I know enough conversational Japanese, and I may not have said it correctly, but Yataka Taki understood me. I said, "Jotomate kudasai," which is a polite way of saying, "Just a moment, if you please. Let's settle down here," and whatever. He just kind of lit up when I said that, and then he tried to ask me some more, and I just said, "Skoshi." I don't know much Japanese, but he felt a little bit of home, if perhaps. Well, fast forward about 15 minutes, Taki goes in the back, and his interpreter comes, and they're getting settled. And the stewards come down to talk to all the jockeys. And the first thing they asked the clerk of scales, and I'm sitting here next to him, he said, "Is Taki here yet?" And they wanted to know to make sure that they had all the jockeys so that they could talk to them and make sure that his interpreter was there, and yada, yada, yada. Not to be too long with this story, but the clerk of scales says, "Oh, yeah, he came in 20 minutes ago, and yeah, whatever." And he said, "Yeah, and John actually speaks Japanese, and tell him what you said. Tell him what you said." And I know the head steward, and I know he had a sense of humor, so I just said, "Oh, I just told him, Jotomate kudasai, MFer." And the clerk of scales, "He didn't say that. He didn't say that." And the steward smiled politely, and I said, "No, I didn't say that. I said, I just told him to settle down and everything will be fine." And sure enough, it was. He got his briefing, they got the briefing, and whatever. Anyway, Taki's on this outside horse, so I think he may improve the horse, but I don't see him coming from that far outside, as well as it's, even though it's only a one-turn race. But I don't see that horse winning. But if anybody can move it up, it's certainly Taki. I'm concentrating on a horse called Good Deal. He has great performance in the last two races he's won, and he has recent form, so I'm excited about that. But I'm more excited that they're changing their jockeys also to Christophe Lemar. And I'm amazed that I can speak French and talking about a Japanese race. So I'm going to go with Good Deal, ridden by Christophe Lemar, who is heading to Dubai to ride, I believe, next week or the week after. So this is a mount that he's picking up, and I think you'll see that Christophe will move this horse up because he's done very, very well in the Japanese Racing Association. I'm sitting here next to my Japanese slot machine, which I did not buy in Japan, but I'm going to do a pull of the lever and hope I hit a jackpot, but I'm more concerned about hitting the jackpot this afternoon at the Hyacinth Stakes, actually tonight at midnight. So we'll see what happens here. Nothing. One more. Well, I got 3 ghosts in a row, and that's a free play, but maybe I'll do better on the racetrack. So good luck to you all, and we'll see you at the races.